A simple way to instantly increase your employees' engagement. So welcome to today's live. My name is Melissa. I'm an executive coach and a management consultant. And what I do every day is I work with leaders and I help them build their influence and create self-managed teams, high-performing self-managed teams. And one of those key ingredients is making sure that we have the employees' engagement. So the mark of a high-performing team is 70% engagement. This is what we are looking for. And most teams don't have that. So in fact, what we're seeing, and I haven't looked at the exact latest research here, Gallup's latest report, but the one that I looked at in 2022 was 21% of employees are engaged at work. This is the global statistics, 21%, but we're looking for an index of 70% engagement for a high-performing team. So here we see a gap. Joining me today is Kelsey Ann. Kelsey Ann is part of my team. Kelsey Ann, what would you like to share about yourself?
I don't know. I am your marketing director and help out doing a bunch of different things around here. And yeah, excited to be here on the live.
So everything we share during these lives are great. Am I back?
Yeah, you never went anywhere.
Oh, okay. Everything went black for a moment. I was like, oh, okay. Technology, it's fun, isn't it?
It is.
So everything that we share on these lives are exactly what we employ inside our teams. So Kelsey Ann is here to give the employee perspective, living these concepts, living these strategies. What kind of impact is that having? So let's start with a little activity today. So if you're joining us today, say hi in the comments. And if you're watching on the replay, hashtag replay. It's really helpful for me to know who's joining us and anything that's coming to mind as we're going along. I love comments. We can make this very fun and very interactive. So starting with a little activity, this is going to get us in the right mindset here. So bring your hands together. So Kelsey Ann, if you want to follow me and those who are watching, bring your hands together. And I want you to push your right hand on your left hand. So you're going to push, the right hand is going to push the left hand. Okay, go. Push harder. Stop. Let it go. Push again. Okay, now push like you mean it. Give it your all because this isn't working. Okay, now let go. So if this is a metaphor for getting employees to do work through external control, through pushing, what can we learn about this?
The more you push, the more they push back.
Oh, yeah. So you felt the resistance, and the resistance was equal to the effort that you put in. So this is what we call external control. The other thing that might have happened for those of you engaging in this, you might have gone. So at some point, the left hand gives up, gives in. Is that a good thing? We've pushed so hard and so long Or maybe we didn't have to put much effort and they just gave in. So what do you think about that? That other outcome that's possible?
Mm. I guess it's trying to find that balance between the two, right? That you don't have to do either.
So what happens as the employee gives in, gives up? It's like they give up their will to you. It works for a moment. But is that really effective? Are they doing it because they want to?
Not usually sustainable.
Not usually sustainable. It will be a short-term
Mm.
fix. It will work in the moment, but it won't work over long term. So what I'm talking about here is what we call external control. And this is what we've been taught. This is how we've been taught to manage people, is through external control, using tactics to get people to do the work. You have to do it because you're getting paid to. It's part of your job. If you don't do it, you're going to get punished. We hold them accountable. We send them lots of emails. We monitor them. We micromanage them sometimes, and sometimes not intentionally. Sometimes it's not who we want to be, but we feel we need to do this. And this is the thing. It's not out of bad intention, but we don't know what else to do. And so we employ the tactics that have been used as we're growing up through the education system, sometimes through the way that we've been nurtured and brought up in society and in work. And, you can't let your employees get away with stuff. You have to be strong. You have to be direct. And sometimes you have to be the bad guy. This is what we've been taught. So it is normal to fall into those habits of behavior. However, if the employee is doing the work from a place of I have to do it because I'm being pushed to do it, being squeezed. If I don't do it, I'm going to get punished. If I don't do it, my survival is at risk. That's a very different experience than from a place of want to.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing that I know about employers and leaders and managers. They really, really want their employees to want to work. And in order to get that want, we're going to have to do things differently. We're going to need a different approach. We're going to need to reach people where it counts, from that internal want to. Okay, and this is what we call internal control. It's an understanding that people have choice and they have their own wants. And we have to connect with that want and that choice in order to get that internal motivation working for us. Following me so far, Kelsey Ann?
Yeah.
So all of you out there, do you understand the difference between external control and internal control? Make sense? Okay, here's your chance to ask questions if you have any. All right, so now let's talk about engagement. What is engagement? Because that's something we talk about. We want it. We know it's important. We know it's important to productivity, to performance, to retention, to satisfaction. But what is engagement? Engagement is the emotional commitment that somebody has to the effort. The emotional commitment that somebody has to the effort. Not the rational commitment, right? You have to do it because interrational.
Mm-hmm.
It's the emotional commitment. We feel we want to. So when we're working with employees, we're working with two parts of the brain, the rational part and the emotional part. And the thing is the emotional part has a really big function in decision making. How people feel about things, their work, their task, the project, their manager, the company, the direction, the strategy, the vision, the values, the culture. All of these things will play into the engagement and how engaged they are. All right, so I'm going to walk you through a very simple 3-step process that's going to help you reach employees where it counts and move from that external control to the internal control. Kelsey-Ann, before I jump into these steps, I want to know what's coming up for you. What are some of the thoughts that are coming up as from the employee perspective?
I think what's coming up for me is just most of the time the employee wants to do good. They want to show up. But a lot of the times there's so many gaps that they see, and they might not know the importance of what they're doing, right? Those tasks that are in front of that are on their desk, and how they connect, right? And that's one thing that I've really noticed the difference in how we do things here versus when I was in corporate, is that you're very transparent with where we're going and how we're heading there. And, you're taking me through those changes with you. You're not just imposing that change on me and saying, okay, deal with it, accept it, suck it up, let's go. We have to go over here now. You make it very clear and involve me with those changes. And you keep me in the loop kind of from, all of the time. And I try to do the same for you, right? So it's very different from the corporate perspective, where it's, here's the information, accept it, digest it, now go do it.
Yeah. And there's something really that you said that was really important, is employees generally want to do the work. And they actually are seeking a place where they can feel that they want to do the work.
It's not very often that adults feel appreciated and in their sense of the day. Like, nobody, if they have children, kids aren't saying, good job today, mom, good job today, dad. But it's nice to hear that appreciation and feel that appreciation at work.
Mm-hmm. So let me walk you through these steps. And Kelsey-Ann, at every step here, I'd love to get your input as we move through it, the impact on the employee. So step number 1, in order to increase employee engagement from a place of internal control. Number 1, this seems very simple, but very hard to do, which is put the agenda down long enough to connect with the employee. And when I'm talking about connection, I'm not talking about the weather or, hey, how was your weekend? I'm talking about a meaningful connection. And when I'm saying put the agenda down, I'm not saying forget about the business. I'm saying create space for that meaningful connection, not hours. Connection happens in moments.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't require a big investment of time, but it does require intentionality. It does require presence. Okay. So as leaders, just so you know, Kelsey-Ann, what's going on is we're thinking about the business, and this is not a shock to you because I'm very transparent, but thinking and thinking and thinking, and we go home and we're thinking and we're dreaming and we're waking up and we have this thing, and by the time that we walk into a meeting or we start, we encounter the employee, we're just ready to download everything that we've been thinking about. What happens when we do that? So Kelsey Ann, you walk into work, you sit down, boss comes in, big download of work.
Overwhelmed. But overwhelmed, frustrated, because I know that there's a multitude of feelings that I'm going to feel right in that moment. Like probably some imposter syndrome. There's so much work, that's a lot. I don't think I can do this. Could be some anger. Why isn't Joe down the hall getting all of this? Right? I'm the one that does X, Y, and Z. They don't do anything. So there could be, lots of questions as to why this download is happening to me and not to somebody else.
And there could be some resentment, like, were you ready for the download? Is this a good time to do this download? How can we do this effectively? Like a respect of how we're engaging in this process. But if we take it a step back and, Kelsey Ann, I want to ask you, when do you feel the most connected? So what is it that's happening in our interactions that's helping create some connection? And what does that do for you? Putting you right on the spot this morning.
I think all of our connections kind of reinforce the direction in which we're going, right? You're always very clear as, okay, we're doing this because, we're heading there. And I guess it reinforces my engagement, my commitment to this business, and that we're growing it together.
So there's a continuous, that connection is continuous. That's perfect, because that's really what I wanted to highlight, is this is not a one interaction, one comment, or one question. This is a continuous thing that you just weave into your conversations, your every connection, every communication point. So connect with the person in a meaningful way. Number 2, get to know what they want. What really is important to them. There is a big fear there. Just as I'm saying this, I know it's coming up. If I ask people what they want, I'm going to either need to deliver and I already know that I can't, or I'm scared of what they're going to say. So 2 really big obstacles to this very simple question: what do you want? And then what do you really want? And tell me about what that actually looks like. Right? Very simple questions. They're not long. They don't require a lot of words. They're simple to remember. But there's a lot of fear blocking us from asking these questions. Asking people for what they want doesn't necessarily oblige us to do anything about it. It's information. We can appreciate, we can give some appreciate. Thank you for sharing that. It's really helpful for me to understand what it is that you're after. And it's really interesting that often we will learn something we didn't know. And sometimes there are things that we can deliver on. There are things that we can do differently based on that knowledge. And what people want matters greatly to engagement, because remember that emotional component. People are always comparing what they want to what they have. We go through life, we go through every moment. Our brain is subconsciously doing this. We don't have to put intentional effort into this. This is just happening, right? What we have, what we want, what we have, what we want, what we have, what we want, what we have. When those things line up, we get a shot of emotion. We get a signal saying, yes, we have it. Continue, move forward, go towards what you want. It gives a message, a signal for us to behave, to go towards what we want. And when we are not aligned, what we want, what we have are mismatched. Now we're getting a different kind of signal. We're getting an emotional signal that tells us to move away from what we don't want, or attack obstacles, or, and this is when we start seeing things like disengagement. So we need to know what's on the scales, what is being evaluated internally for that person. So the closer we can get to that picture of what they want, the more power we have, in a sense, to create that on the outside for them to balance the scales. And maybe what they want is not realistic, but maybe there is a version of what they want that's realistic. And we can work with that. Okay. So one, we need a meaningful connection before they will give us a picture of what they want. Number two is get that picture. It is worth knowing, and knowing this is the only way that you can connect in a way to get that engagement. And third is what you're going to be doing with that want. So I'm going to circle back, I'm going to take 2 steps back. Kelsey-Ann, when you're being asked what you want, or a question about what you want, what happens internally for you as an employee?
I guess I assume, I don't like to assume, but I assume that you actually want to know the answer.
So now we have a feeling of care. So what do you do with that answer? Number 3, you look at what the employee wants. You look at your goals as a leader, and you look at the business context and the business goals. Okay, so you're looking at 3 layers here: the employee, the leadership, and the goal, the business. Those 3 things. And you look at what's common. So I like to do it as a Venn diagram, and I start putting in what the employee cares about, what's important to them. And I start putting what I care about, what's important to me. And then I put what the business cares about and what's important to it, to find the commonalities. And that gives us something to work with. And when we can find alignment between those 3 things, now we have those 3 elements working together and moving forward. What's coming up for you, Kelsey-Ann? I'm seeing you nod, something clicked.
It's nice when you get that buy-in from, like, and that comes together from the employee perspective, like, okay, they actually care, like, it's not, I'm not just an employee number here.
And sometimes what the employee wants and what we want, what the business wants, there is alignment, but it's not perceived. So until you actually make sense of that, and you can show, oh, actually, there's no gap here. Look, we are moving in the same direction. How can we do that better? Sometimes you don't need to change anything. It's a matter of clarification. It is a worthwhile exercise, and it will instantly make a difference for your employees, how they feel about you, how they feel about the business, how they feel about their work. And that gets you the engagement that you're seeking for. So simple steps, not always easy to do. What we talked about today, there's some internal objections. There's concern about time. There's concern even about how do we do that connection? It's so weird and awkward, and I don't know how to do that. I am offering not next week, but the week after, September 18th, a workshop that's entitled The Influential Leader. And we're going to go right to those big questions about how to turn your lowest performing employees into rock stars. So it's 1 hour a day for 5 days. You're going to join me, and I'm going to walk you step by step on how I do exactly that. And those who join, they get results during the week, because you're going to get it in bite size and it's going to be actionable, so you can start employing it immediately. As soon as you leave each session, you will have to-dos. And those to-dos are going to be part of your communication. So they're not going to be homework. They're just going to be a shift in the way that you're approaching things. So to join this workshop, Kelsey Ann, what do they need to do?
They need to register, and we'll be putting a link in the comments that you can register with. And you will get emails with the Zoom link, and then you just tune in wherever it's 12 p.m. Eastern. So for the Atlantic folk, it's a late lunch. And we do stick to that 1 hour time frame, because we want everybody, to come in and make the most of their lunch. And those that come in with a situation in their mind, and are really willing to dive deep for that 1 hour and put other things aside, it's really exciting to see the progress that they make from the beginning to the end of the workshop.
Absolutely. So I'm so excited. That's it for today, folks. But you will get more when you register for the workshop. I can't wait to see you there. So see you then. And I said it wasn't next week. It is next week.
It is next week. Yes.
This is a new week. So yes, it is next week, starting next Monday. All right. Have a great one.
Bye, everyone.
See you there. Bye.